Good afternoon. We're in my office this week, and the reason that I've decided to do this is because there is so much construction going on at the high school right now that I want to help the public understand a little bit more of what's happening there. And this is also on the heels of being asked by one of our public, what are we doing at the high school? And I had just assumed that everyone knew why we're digging up so much dirt. As you drive by the high school, you'll notice that the ridge ringer, which is the bell that came from the old high school, is just almost totally covered with mounds of dirt. And by the way, that dirt will be reused in another place on the campus there. But the big question is, what are we doing exactly, and why are we doing it? I have some drawings here. We may have looked at these before, but I have some drawings that'll help me explain it to you. And I also have some of our staff from here in the central office to join with me, and they may ask some questions along the way just to make sure that I'm clear in my explanation to you so that everyone can understand. Now we have two pictures here of the high school. The picture on the bottom is the high school as we had planned to renovate and enlarge some of our capacities several years ago. Now some of the pieces that are on this map here probably will never come to pass because of cost right now. An example of that would be this roundabout. We'll probably never put a roundabout in on the campus. It's just too expensive, and there are some other pieces that you'll probably never see. But what we are hoping to do, and we're hoping to do in this, is to increase the safety on the campus by basically splitting the campus into two parts. One part would be a public side, and that would be this side over here, down where most of the parking has been for buses and other things, and that's down where the new parking has been developed behind the baseball field. This would be the public side, and then this side over here would be the student side. Now what do I mean by that? Will the students only be on this side of the campus? Well, after a certain point in the day, that would be the hope, because what we would like to do is to block off the road that goes in now at the high school and have all of our student parking and all of our bus parking on this side of the campus, and then we could hopefully develop a road around the backside so that our buses and maybe the students could exit at that point as well. Now, in order to keep our campus safe and split into two halves, we had to change the front entrance. Now, most of you will notice that on this upper picture here, the student drop-off area is right here. And if you've driven by the high school, you don't have access to this entrance here anymore. As a matter of fact, after a certain point, this entrance will be totally blocked off and not accessible anymore. And instead, the public entrance to the high school will be here, because we're extending our building out from the current bus doors all the way to the curb with new administration. Let me show you what I mean by taking you over to this diagram. This is just the bus drop-off and the cafeteria area plus the new addition. The existing walls now for the high school go across here, down here, and across this way. These doors right here are the doors where students enter, or they used to enter whenever they would go in from the buses. Those doors are going to be enclosed in the building, and we are adding all of this area as our new front entrance. We can't use it today because it hasn't been built yet, but by this time next year, this will all be in place. All of our principals and assistant principals and our admin assistants will be on this side. Our resource officer will have an area that's glassed in right here in the center of it, and that will become the public entrance for Swain County High School. That helps us create a single point entrance for visitors and for parents and late arrivals. Now, doing that, by moving all of these offices down, it gives us a whole new opportunity to add classroom space. So on this bottom diagram, you're going to see an addition here which are 2 very large classrooms and another addition here. What I don't have on this drawing is that the administration offices are right up here, and we will be renovating them into 2 additional classrooms probably after this particular part of the project is complete. This entrance right here is where the current parent drop-off doors are. This will not be accessible by the public anymore. Instead, we'll have 2 about 2,000 square foot classrooms sitting there, and we'll shift all of our administrative guidance offices down to the new addition that's being added on the corner of the building. Now, I understand what that's going to look like, and I understand what all of that means, but you may not. So I've got some of my help here to ask questions on topics that they might not be clear about as far as this concerns. So ladies, where are you confused, and what additional elements can we help you understand by looking at pictures and things like that? Either of you.
You spoke a little bit about safety issues, and so my question is, as a parent of an upcoming high schooler, can you talk a little bit more about the enhancements to the campus safety that this renovation will create?
One of the things that it allows for us to do is to create a single point entrance. And if you've been on any of the other campuses except the high school, if you get there after 8 or 8:10, you can't get in the front door, and you can't get in any of the other doors. We have basically locked the primary buildings down, and you have to use a call button that allows you to speak to a receptionist, which also has a video of whoever is out front, and asks to be let in. We can't do that at the high school right now. By putting a new entrance in the front, in the new front, and locking all of the other doors, then we are guaranteeing that the public can only come in through an access with permission and in the presence of a resource officer as well. Now, there are some pieces, Jennifer, that we need to work out on that, particularly since there are so many people moving across the high school campus all the time. We've got outbuildings and all of that. But at this point, this is the best move that we can make to increase the safety to the greatest amount in one action. We think that it is going to, number one, keep our students safer, and number two, it's improving the traffic flow, which is a safety issue as well. A lot of people have already seen that the traffic flow at the high school is operating much more efficiently, and that's because we're shifting to that side of the building. Did that answer your question? All right. Other questions?
Will the additional classroom space be able to accommodate the projected increase of students?
I think so. One of the things that people don't realize about the high school is that when it was built in the late 1970s, it was really designed for about 20% less students than we have today. And we are seeing a tendency from the middle grades for the numbers to increase. As a matter of fact, they have 170 freshmen at the high school right now, which is one of the largest classes that they've ever seen. By adding these 4 classrooms, it gives us the opportunity to take some students out of some really small classrooms that they're using right now and place them into a larger area. Simply by virtue of the fact that we have 4 new classrooms, we're going to be able to hopefully decrease some class size, or if we can't decrease the number of students in the rooms, we can put them in rooms that have greater capacity than they're in right now. So I think the answer to your question is yes, that's going to happen. Of course, we can only project the growth or the decrease in enrollment to a certain point. We see an increase coming, though, at this point. Did that answer your question? Okay.
How about for the cafeteria and the common areas?
The common areas are going to stay very, very much the same, except for right here where this SRO is, because this will become a common area as well. And as a matter of fact, we just created an adjustment to this area here because we didn't like how this was getting pinched down. And so we have opened this up just a little bit. So there should be a little, some places that are larger for students to congregate in. We're not going to increase the cafeteria size as far as dining is concerned, because we're seeing that most students like to eat out in the building, perhaps in the media center or in some classrooms. And it's not very often that cafeteria is completely full of students. We do know that we could probably put all of the students in that cafeteria dining area in 2 separate shifts. It would be really, really full and probably wouldn't be very comfortable. We also know that's not happening very often. Now, one of the pieces, though, that we are able to do with this is, as we're increasing this area here, we are also adding capacity to the cafeteria cooking area. Right now, the kitchen really has to stop at about this point. We're going to add a whole section to the back of it for storage, so that we can also include the ability to have preparation farther back into the cooking area as well. So as far as our cafeteria workers, they'll be experiencing more space than they ever have in the 40 years that building's been there. Answer your question? Other questions? Anyone?
Since this is such an old building, is it going to include any like overall upgrades to the building, such as making it more energy efficient or anything like that?
Well, there's only so much that we can do to the building itself to increase its building efficiency itself. We are taking some steps to increase the overall efficiency and energy usage by changing our lighting from fluorescent to LED. We're in the process of working an agreement with Schneider Electric to make that happen. And I don't know that the public knows or understands that by taking a fluorescent unit out and putting an LED in, we're probably reducing our energy consumption by 50 to 60% just in doing that. We're also looking at the envelope. That means how everything is kind of insulated, to make sure that we are keeping energy in as much as possible. We're also looking at the efficiency of our heating and our cooling units so that we can get maximum use out of those and create some savings. A while back, we already changed from an oil-driven heating system at the high school to natural gas, which brought in a significant savings as well. And we're going to use all of that savings actually across the entire school system as we change out large high-velocity air conditioning, HVAC, as we change those out and create a greater efficient package there as well. Now, one of the places where it's really difficult in an old building to save yourself money is as far as the use of utilities from the wall. There's only so much that we can do there because those pieces have been built in. And there's only so much that we can do also as far as water conservation is concerned, but we are looking at changing some fixtures out or putting a different flow rate in, which will also save our money as well, or actually save the taxpayers' money. One of the pieces I wanted to look at was, could we incorporate solar? And what we discovered by in our conversations with some of our energy experts is that you will save money using solar, but it costs so much more right now to purchase the solar equipment that the only money that you save goes to purchase the equipment. So you really come out at a net zero on those. You decrease your carbon footprint, but you don't save yourself any money in the long run. So that's a long answer to this question. Well, are we looking at how to increase our efficiency and save money? The answer is yes. But it won't necessarily be through the renovations. It'll be through a separate program that we should have in place happening next summer. Did that make sense to you? Okay. Any other questions?
One last question that I was curious about is parking. Is this going to reduce the amount of parking that's available up there?
Right now, the parking at the high school is at the most constricted level that we're going to see. I mean, obviously, we've lost the parking here already where the buses have been for some time. And we have also lost the opportunity to use this parking here. It has a red block in it because at one time we thought about putting another building there, but we're not going to right now. This is where the teachers park. We've had to convert this into bus parking now. When all of this is done, the buses will still be able to park on this side of the building. This will be opened up for public to use, and we have already increased our parking down here like I mentioned just a few minutes ago. And we're also working on putting some parking up here as well. We've cleared the land. We've just got to make sure that we stay within environmental regulations because of water there. So it should not decrease the parking, and actually because of the master plan, I believe that we're going to see an increase in parking availability over time as well. Any other questions?
I think it's covered.
Okay. And so to everyone who's been listening to these questions and to this explanation, I hope you understand a little more about what we're doing at the high school. If you have questions, don't hesitate to shoot me an email. I believe that I have an email called askmark@swainmail.org. Or you can pick the phone up and you can call us and I'll get back to you. And if you wanted to, we could set up a time and I'll walk you through what we're doing over there, just so that you have the information that I believe that you should have concerning the renovation at the high school. Until we get to speak to you again, thank you. Thanks for being part of our school system, and God bless you. And thank you, ladies, for being with us.